What's the hardest thing that you do each and every day?
Well, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but a lot of engineers that we deal with, a lot of inspectors that we deal with are programmed to see how bad they can mess your day up. They try to cost you money. Dealing with the day-to-day people telling us how to do things is probably the hardest thing that we do.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks.
You probably get to play on some of the biggest construction equipment that there is.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Big toys.
Big
toys for big boys.
I watched Shark Tank one night and Mark Cuban invested in this deal where they had a big plot of land and they had big dozers and backhoes and just all kinds of big, massive equipment. And for a price, somebody like me can go out and play on that equipment. But you do it for a living.
I'm surprised there's not more things like that. There aren't any schools that teach you how to do that. You just have to get in it and learn. You have to have the opportunity that someone gives you to climb in it and figure it out. There are no schools that teach you how to run an excavator or a dozer. You just do it.
So what's the biggest piece of equipment you've ever been in?
Probably a scraper.
Big, super long, big blade.
Big engines in front and rear. A lot of noise, rough as hell.
What kind of projects do you work on?
Well, we do dirt, concrete, and utilities, mainly subdivisions, at present, a few municipal jobs for cities, replacing water and sewer mains in the street. And we've gotten into building custom ponds, recreational ponds, swimming ponds, just in any kind of dirt work.
Of course, ponds are how we got introduced. Did you know this is what you're going to do when you got out of high school?
Well, I guess it goes back a little further than that. I can remember my grandfather had a large construction company growing up, and I guess that's all I ever knew. We were like fourth generation, construction, and we went on a trip one time. I was probably 8 years old, and my grandfather did a lot of work for Southwestern Bell. Up there, where I'm talking about, was Mountain Bell. And he got all the grandkids. At that time, there weren't that many. There was about 4 of us, and my dad, my uncle, and grandfather, and we were going on a fishing trip. Well, all of a sudden, we're in the motorhome and seemed to be driving for days and pull up on a job site in the middle of nowhere. People pouring concrete, erecting steel, and my granddad was building microwave towers at the time, all up and through the mountains of Colorado. And I can't tell you how we even got there because, today you have to have GPS to get across town.
Yeah.
So, it was just amazing. And so that was just in my blood, I guess. And then my grandfather was retiring and things were shutting down. And so my dad broke off on his own and started his own business. And he was a general contractor specializing in structural concrete. And I was maybe 10 or 11 years old at the time. And so, I always wanted to be with Dad on the job. He took me to job sites. Saturday mornings, we were at the shop, pulling nails. And it was just always a part of my life, I guess. I didn't know any different. I didn't know anything else out there existed. So I guess that's who I am. So here I am.
So when you got out of school, you just automatically knew that this is where I'm going.
Oh yeah, we were kind of expected to be in the family business. And again, when my father retired, there was a lot of family in there. So I took off to Colorado and learned some new things, and it was a really, really good experience. Where I went to work for a big civil contractor up in Colorado, great company, Gould Construction. And we built bridges. We did wildlife projects. We built subdivisions. We built golf courses. We really did it all. And it was just an amazing journey. And what a great education that was. So, you can't learn that in school.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah. You can't learn that in school.
I'm like, what did you start out doing when you first came in? where it's a full-time job, it's 40 hours a week. And what did you start out doing?
Well, I guess during the summers, 15, 16 years old, obviously I was on a broom or a shovel, and that graduated into setting forms and then a concrete finisher. And then I was working on equipment and eventually moved into the office. I did everything that you have to do to get there or to build something. Eventually made it into the office environment.
Which is a whole new world.
Whole new world, and I don't recommend it.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun.
No, it is fun.
It can be.
It can be fun, but I love being outside. I love working outside in the sun, and the office is rewarding too.
What's one of the most important things you learned when you first started out working in the trades?
This video is sponsored by Leak Pro. Go check out leak-pro.com.
Be on time.
Isn't that big?
It's huge, and you'd be surprised at how many people aren't on time and they just don't care. But be on time. I'm 30 minutes early everywhere. You need to be 30 minutes early, not 30 minutes late.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, never. Very frustrating.
That's one thing that I used to teach kids in school. I used to be an instructor in the union. And it's like, look, I expect you to be in my class before the bell rings. If you're in afterwards, you're late. It's a tardy. It is what it is. And they couldn't understand. It's like, guys, look, I'm trying to prepare you for the real world. The jobs that you're going to go on, you need to be on time every single day. And people laugh at me because running a workout at the airport, I'd show up at DFW Airport 30, 45 minutes early every single day. Get into my office, get stuff done and ready to go for the day. By the time the guys are out in the field, I'm out there to be in front of them, ready to go. And to try to teach this to apprentices, these kids that are just coming in, just learning a trade, I try to compare it to high school. It's like, look, didn't you have to be in the class on time?
Maybe they weren't.
Maybe they weren't.
Maybe they're stragglers. Maybe that's in their blood.
I don't know. Go to work for yourself, man.
Right.
But still, you've still got customers. You've got customers every day.
Customers every day. And when you're late, it shows that customer that you really don't care about them. And you better, because they're feeding you.
It's funny you put it that way. That's the big deal I used to tell my plumbers whenever I have my own company. I said, you've got to realize every house you walk in, these are the people that are paying for your date night this Friday night. They're paying for the shoes your kids wear to school. They're paying for the electricity at your house. They are paying for every single thing you do. And you need to treat them that way.
Right.
And I've always seen it that way. Some people don't. They're just like, man, look, I got a job. They need plumbing done. I'm taking care of it. That's all it is. Yeah. It's like, man, that's a wrong attitude.
It is wrong. And everybody's got their phone in their face now too.
Yeah.
So don't go in there and get on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. First day in, it's like, hey, hold on, I'll be there in just a minute. It's like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Being on time is huge. I teach people to show respect to the mentors that are training them. They don't have to do that. They don't have to show you the tips and the tricks and the things they've learned over 40, 45, 50 years. But they're doing it because it can make you smarter, make you have a better living. And some people just be like, oh man, look, quit bitching. It's like, don't go there again.
Yeah.
You ain't seen me bitch yet.
Yes.
But yeah, being on time is amazing.
That's probably the most important thing to me.
To me, it's that, and come in with a willingness to learn, be coachable.
Yeah.
You come in with these kids that, look, I already know everything. It's like, really?
Well, that's awesome.
You've been doing this for like 3 months. It took me longer than that.
I'm in this 40 years now, and I learn something new every day.
Yeah, me too.
Even the guy on the shovel shows me something that I didn't know. Uh-huh. You got to respect those guys too. You ever been on a shovel? Who wants to be on a shovel?
Oh yeah, I've been.
Somebody's got to do that, and it's not awesome, but you got to respect those guys because you got to have them.
Mm-hmm. You got into the big equipment, construction, and by construction, you don't mean just like a home or something like that. You were building roads. What all have you built?
Bridges, roads, golf courses, tons and tons of subdivisions.
Now, when you say you built subdivisions, you get the civil ready. So you get the
civil, dirt,
all the elevations, all that
dirt,
ready.
Utilities, and concrete.
Okay.
Build the pads, get them permit ready for the builders.
And you said utilities. Are you running the water lines, or have you dig for people that are, or what?
No, we do all water, sewer, storm, a little bit of franchise electric, which is cable, TV, and electric. And I've done quite a bit of electrical substations. Before I got in business for myself, I worked for a contractor that predominantly worked for New Mexico Power, Encore, Rayburn Electric, all these providers. And we did the civil work for electrical substations and switches. Everybody wants to plug an electric car in, and we're kind of out of places to plug things in. So there's a huge amount of that going on. And I kind of see that in our future.
Have you got into solar yet?
Well, solar farms, we've put in electrical substations to plug solar farms in. And that's mainly what I did with them. Almost every project we did was plugging in a solar farm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to learn solar for roofs.
Yeah. Everyone wants to plug a car in, and there's just not enough places to plug.
Well, I don't know that you do much on residential. How hard is it to convert a residential house to put a plug in there? Are most of them wired for that much energy? Or
well,
really?
No. In fact, this is our second house where my youngest son, he drives a Tesla. And we've actually had to do quite a bit of electrical work this time to get it in when the panel was out of space. And it takes a lot of juice if you want to charge one, in a respectable
timely manner. You bet.
You can always go to Buc-ee's and pay $8 or I think it's $15 and plug it in. But you have to do a lot. And if almost, I think there's about 6 houses on every transformer. Well, if every 6 houses had a car to plug in, a new transformer would need to be put in. It's just crazy, the requirements to plug everything in. Everything wants to be electric. So,
and they're making it sound like this is the way of the future. Every house is going to have an electric car.
Well, maybe. And I know that's a good thing, carbon fuels,
right?
Get rid of the carbon fuels, but electric cars tears up a lot of things too. Like a solar field, for example, that chews up so much beautiful farmland because that's the things that they go after is buying this farm that's been in this family for years because they could get it at an economical price. And our farmlands are disappearing to put in these solar fields.
Yeah, I think it's something I've looked at. I would love to have solar panels on my roof, on here, maybe the barn, and just say, "Look, I'm generating my electricity."
Yeah. Oh, you should.
Yeah, that's something I want to do. But you start out learning to build bridges and roads and major construction neighborhoods and all that. Now you're kind of branching off into custom ponds, and you've been doing it before, not really branching into it, but something you're getting really good at.
Yeah. Ponds are pretty neat, especially the swimming ponds where people that are worried about chemicals, these ponds kind of manage themselves. You get the aquatics going, and I think that's going to be the next big thing is a swimming pond instead of a pool.
I've been studying these, so it's really neat. And I mean, you can build a swimming pond for probably about half the price you can build a pool for.
Right.
And at least the ones that I've seen on YouTube, you're going to end up throwing that thing away. But it's funny because, I mean, literally they're digging a hole in the ground. Some are just putting rocks and gravel and stuff like that in it. Some are putting liners in it. There's a lot of different ways, but what's the big difference between a regular pond and a swimming pond?
Well, I think your aquatics are going to be different, and you're going to probably not have as much wildlife in it. You don't want to be swimming with snakes and turtles, and
preferably not.
Yeah, I hope you're not.
Take just a second and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name is Mike Holloman. I'm president of Rockwall Underground. We actually do more above ground than we do underground, but it's Rockwall Underground. And we have a company called Pond Masters, where we're building the custom ponds for people.
And that's just kind of a branch off of really everything you already do because you already got all the equipment for it.
It's a branch off of what we do, and it's very rewarding when you look back and see the pond.
I'll tell you what, I've been studying this because, of course, we met because I'm wanting to build a pond out here. We're still playing with ideas. Do we want to go swimming pond? Do we want to go just a water retention pond? So a lot of different things to look at. And y'all had an engineering company come out the other day and flew a drone with LiDAR, I believe.
LiDAR, it's kind of like a radar.
So I used to do a total station. So I'm very familiar with the equipment where you walk around, you put the pin down on the ground, you set your northern and eastern, you set your elevations, and it'll tell you, how high above or below zero you are. And it takes a while to map out just a point or two.
Yeah, this drone kind of replaces all that. And I've drug a pole around quite a bit myself, and these new drones and this new radar is amazing technology, very accurate.
So this radar flew above my property in about, I think he said it would take 7 to 8 minutes. And he said he shot 1.5 million points. He can go back, plug it into the computer, and get a complete civil drawing layout of my entire property.
It would have taken 3 guys, maybe a day and a half, 2 days to do that.
I would just shoot 1.5 million points.
You wouldn't get 1 million points.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get
you'd be lucky to get, you'd be lucky to get a few thousand.
You get a few thousand points.
Yeah.
At best. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one day I shot 300 points on a job site.
Yeah.
In an 8-hour day, and I was humping it. And I had an automatic GPS, so or not GPS, total station. So as long as I could keep my reflector where it saw it, it would move and follow me and shoot a point and boom, enter and go to the next one. 300 points in a day was humping it. I mean, that was a busy day.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't stay up late.
No. Didn't stay up late the night before. I was there bright and early, ready to go. And still 300 points.
300 is a lot.
And this did 1.5 million.
That's not even believable.
Yeah. So it was all on the floor of a building. So it was a very controlled environment.
When they came out with that total station, 1-man operation, I know that's a good thing, but it sure is a lot more work than, having a team out there doing it.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing everything.
You're setting the station, you're setting the control points.
Setting everything up. Yep. You're walking everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Uh-huh.
A lot of work.
Oh, I've been there. I know.
Yeah, I'm too.
I know. You start out doing all kinds of construction. How do you branch off into other things? What, as a young man learning to use heavy equipment, and then move up to where you're kind of a foreman, a superintendent, you're helping running things. What makes you start looking at how can we grow this? How can we do other things?
Well, I guess you got to look outside the box, and not that I've mastered anything, but once I seem like I master something, I get a little bored and I'm looking for something else, and I got to keep feeding the monster, I guess. And then you surround yourself with good people that have vision and think outside the box, and all of a sudden you're just going somewhere you never thought you would go. And you got to surround yourself with good people,
no matter what business you're in.
Right.
It's a great thing, especially if it's your business.
Yeah.
I used to love it as a foreman or superintendent, being able to pick people for my crew, call down the house like, hey, I want this person, and this person.
Yeah, brains are awesome, but not everyone's awesome.
Yeah. No, you're right. Not everyone wants to work.
Not everyone wants to do that.
Your entire company right now, what all do y'all do? Do y'all still do neighborhoods? Do you still build roads and bridges and all that? Or?
We don't do bridges, but we build roads. We come in and do the dirt work, put the utilities in, put streets down. Occasionally, we'll stick around and do the franchised utilities, but mainly dirt, concrete, and utilities.
Keeps y'all busy.
Keeps us busy. A lot of that going on. Now, we do the infrastructure for apartments. A lot of that going on. Everyone's building an apartment, it seems like.
And you say the infrastructure, you're building the parking lots, you're doing the foundations, the utility on site.
Correct.
All the above.
All the on-site, off-site utilities and parking lots, foundations. We do it all.
So you pretty much get in before the plumbers, electricians, anybody else gets in.
We get in before the developers run out of money.
It's a good time to get in.
Yeah. You don't want to be putting carpet down.
Yeah.
They're out of money when they're laying carpet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get in and out before, all the financial woes start. These subdivisions that they build, if they don't close every single lot in one closing, then all of their numbers, all the money they thought they were going to make,
right.
that does not, they never make what they thought they would make unless every lot closes at once. And builders don't take lots down like that. They'll, you spend $4 million putting the subdivision together and they take down 10 lots. They build those 10 lots, they sell 10 houses, and they take 20 lots. And it just takes forever for those numbers to work. And they don't work. Interest eats you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you started your own business, what was one of the hardest things you had to learn?
Managing money.
Cash
flow is not fun. And just because you get that $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 check in doesn't mean, it's time to go to the mall. You have to think about what you're doing here. You got to pay your bills, keep everybody paid up, and really save everything you can.
You're all commercial. I say that you're building residential areas, but you're net 30, 60, 90. You try not to.
120 and less. I know there's a few things that are 120, but generally it's about 60 days.
So that means, and I want everybody listening to think about this, because at this level that you're at now, you don't get paid for somewhere between 2 and 4 months.
Right. And when you do get paid, you're not whole. You won't be whole really to the end of the job, and you collect your retainage.
Right. Yeah. And retainage is normally 10, 20%, 10 to 15.
Yeah. We don't enter into any contracts over 10. And if it's over $1.5 million, we'll entertain 5%, but no more than that, because that's your profit.
You bet.
So
yeah, it means you don't make any money until the very end.
And you don't get it until the doors are locked and they're ready to sell them. And sometimes, they have to sell a few things before you get your retainage. It's kind of a nasty thing.
Do you ever wish you'd have got into something else?
Well, there's been a lot of times where I thought I wanted to do something else till I got out there and did something else. I was a home inspector for a few years. And that was really good money until you have to climb under a house, pier and beam house, and there's spiders everywhere.
Something about that. That's no big
deal.
You
know all about that. I'll never forget it. In fact, it was probably my last inspection. It was a old wood frame house, and I stuck my head under there, and there's spider webs and spiders bigger than I was, and I was done. I couldn't do it after that.
Yeah. I remember the first time I stuck my head down there and the spider said, "Hey, come on in."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. My oldest son is a plumber, and I guess it doesn't faze him. I guess it doesn't faze a lot of people.
Yeah. It never bothered me. And I don't like spiders, don't like snakes. But man, you get done there, it's just like, okay, this is where I work.
This is what you're doing.
Here's what it is. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't pick and choose sometimes.
No, you can't.
So I go take the good with the bad.
So when you first started your own business, what kind of work were you doing then? Did you just jump into all of it and say, hey, we can do every bit of it?
Well, I had an opportunity with a big fire protection company, and I was doing their excavation and backfill, and we started doing their piping for them too, and putting in cathodic protection. When the riser comes into the building and you've got dissimilar metal corrosion, and those always seem to pop on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
After everybody walks out of the building.
People already started popping the beer up, and we get a call, and big emergency, fire. Their fire protection's down. So that's kind of what we started doing at first. Work support for the mechanical contractors. And that kind of led into one thing or another. And then we got into building the subdivisions, and here we are.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. But we kind of started out doing the repairs, cathodic protection. Yeah.
And it grew.
Yeah. And we thought we wanted to get into the emergency business, but you really don't.
No, you've got to be
because emergency
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day, and emergencies don't start at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, they start at 10 p.m. So
or
we
one in the morning.
we probably got out of that as quick as we got in. So we were being called less and less because we didn't want to, we were getting too selective about what we wanted to do. And so we kind of had to get into other things to survive.
What made you pick ponds?
Well, that was actually a vision of, Derek's. And it's just very great to sit back and see something that you did that looks like nature built it. And it's very rewarding to step back and see that.
I've got almost 10 acres here. And I'm looking probably around a 1 acre pond, something like that. What's the biggest pond you've ever built?
I think the biggest one we ever did in Waxahachie was it's about 20 acres, 20 acre pond, fishing pond.
I mean, that's almost a lake.
Yeah. And it wasn't anything real beautiful. You got to pay for beauty.
Right.
And it was just a pond, some place to fish.
Just come dig a hole
and fix the leaks, put up a spillway. But it wasn't real pretty.
So there's more to a pond than just digging a hole.
There's more to a pond than just digging a hole. Not all of them are going to hold water without a lot of extra work. And you got to think of the wildlife that's going to be there, the runoff. You got to think about drainage. There's a lot involved. The ponds today, where people want to build them, require, engineering. Require drainage studies, and you don't just go dig a pond.
And that's what we're doing right now. We had an engineer company come out 2 weeks ago.
Your pond is being designed right now, and it's going to be really amazing.
I haven't even got to see it yet, so this is really pretty cool.
Yeah, you're in for a treat.
We and we're looking at different ideas. Derek and I are still talking. Are we going to go just a retention pond? Are we going a swimming pond? Are we doing a combination pond? The reason that we're looking at a pond here is I'm in a 500 acre flood zone, or 500-year flood zone, a 100-year flood zone. And there's areas back on the property which, from the way that my neighbors have done, make it where it floods here pretty good. So we're trying to alleviate some of that. So knowing exactly what all the ground does is a big part of it.
It's a huge part, designing that pond for the runoff reasons. You're taking on your neighbor's water, you're flooding out someone else, and you're kind of disrupting some natural things sometimes. You might dig up a spring. You just never know what you're going to get into when you dig a pond. And it needs to be engineered.
And we're looking at the idea of possibly digging a well to fill a pond. So at least then we get spring water, natural water, something.
Yeah,
like
natural is always better than
right.
But city water is really not good. I don't even drink city water. I've been in the water business, my whole adult life, and I don't drink it.
I'm lucky. I use Halo water filtration systems.
Yeah.
I think they're phenomenal. So water filtration and water treatment. So even the water I shower in, it's like, if there's too much calcium and magnesium, it's not good.
Are you really getting everything out? I read where you're still drinking people's antibiotics that get flushed, and it's just...
the big one is plastics.
Yeah.
Everybody's drinking out of these plastic bottles, and I'm trying to remember, but over the course of a year, I believe, the little micro pieces of plastic that are in the water that we drink in those plastic bottles equal enough plastic to build a credit card.
Wow.
Okay. And you wouldn't think that's a lot, but that's a year.
A lot.
And it's hard for your body to excrete all that. So
it doesn't excrete it?
I don't.
We may have 10 credit cards in our
or more. Water bottles been around for a while.
And people drink cases of that stuff. My kids, they won't. And I don't know why they've never drank the water. They didn't know the water was bad, but they've just never... Especially in a bathroom, they wouldn't go fill a cup up in the bathroom. When I was a kid, we drank out of the hose.
Oh, yeah.
And
the black water hose in the front yard.
Yeah, nasty.
You bet.
And kids would never do that today. My kids would ever do that. No telling what we were drinking back then.
Yeah, and even football practice. I remember we had a hose bib. They'd run a water hose over to a plastic piece of pipe and just have little holes drilled in it. And so it just spray like a water fountain, and you just drink the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different
A
today.
little different today.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So tell me about the coolest pond you've built.
Coolest pond I built was probably in Colorado. It was more of a trout spawning pond that was at the end of the Crystal River in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and a lot of engineering, a lot of inspections, a lot of oversight, a lot of people involved, a lot of tree huggers in Colorado. So, they want this put in, but you can't run your excavator to put it in. It's just. That's probably.
Yeah. Can you dig this by hand? Please?
Yeah. We need you to dig it, but don't dig it with anything.
Yes.
So that was probably the most rewarding thing was the trout spawning area. That was for the Bureau of Land Management.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult pond you've ever done?
Well, maybe yours, because
That's a scary thought.
of all the floodplain issues, you have a lot of issues to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Not impossible, but
Right.
Yours will be a little challenging.
That always makes it fun.
Always fun.
We're, and we're looking at doing this because we're building an entertainment center, an event center, and need some of that dirt to help elevate that pad, which great to call y'all because that's what y'all do.
Yeah.
How long does it normally take somebody to build a pond? I mean, this is something I've never done. Literally, I thought, you know what, we just get a big backhoe out here and start digging a hole and keep digging and keep digging and keep digging. Sooner or later, it's big enough.
I think the pond in Colorado was probably at least a year in the making, and after all the engineering was approved, it took us maybe 6 months, so a year and a half on that one. We'll probably be in the 7-8 months range in yours. So I'm guessing most of that time is going to be engineering and approvals.
Right.
But yours will be less than a year.
But this is something that as soon as I bought the land, I had an idea. It's like, you know what? I know what I want to do here.
Did you know that you wanted a pond when you got the land?
Yeah, I think I did. I didn't know anything about it, but I just thought, man, it'd be really nice to have a pond, right over in this area and do this. So there were a lot of things that I used to literally take the drawing of the site plan, and go home and look at, okay, if I were to build this out, there'd be a pond over here, there'd be a house way back here one day, and training centers and stuff like this. And, it all changes along the way. But bringing y'all in was great because it's like, okay, I'm thinking about a pond over here. What do you think? It's like, well, we don't just guess where to put it.
Yeah.
We need to do.
Yeah, in your situation, it just has to kind of be where it can be.
Yeah, because we want to hold water, but we also don't want all the runoff water to end up in it if it's a swimming pond.
Yeah.
Or maybe we say, look, we can't do a swimming pond just because of that, because we're trying to help control water.
Well, we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're going to swim in your pond.
I know. I want to. I'm in unincorporated territory, so there's no city permits, no stuff like that. But also been in construction forever, just like you. It's like, but wait, I still want to do this right. Mm-hmm. It's not just like, hey, you know what? Just bring out a dozer in here. Let's dig a big hole and call it good. So what all steps do we have to go through? And I know that we're at the engineering right now. We had them come out. This drone they flew out was huge.
Yeah, I think it's 6 feet.
Yeah, about 6 feet by
wide.
6 feet, something like that.
It's crazy.
And we took one of our drones and flew right above it, and we're videoing them videoing. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we get through the design and the approval and start digging it. Your aquatic features that we need to put in and fill it up. I know it sounds easy, but
I know that's just a couple of days worth of work right there.
No, all we like is finishing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once you get started, all you got to do is finish it up.
That's all we got to do is finish.
Pretty neat stuff. What's next for y'all? How do you grow a company? And I mean, you look at what y'all do, and I've worked for some of the largest mechanical contractors in town. How do you grow a company that literally you're normally not even working with customers? You're either working with general contractors or developers, or how do you grow your business?
Well, you got to be lean You know, you gotta manage your money well. You got to get into your equipment correctly, and you have to have good people. You know, you got to have good people because your people are what makes you or breaks you.
You bet.
Yeah. So
labor is the unknown factor.
Labor is unknown, and you know, ever since COVID, everybody's watching Netflix. You know, and they got Netflix in their pocket, and so you can't really say a whole lot to people now. They get offended and they'll walk across the street and make another 50 cents. So you got to find a happy medium to keep your guys happy and just make it a family. You got to have a family. Everyone's got to get together and come together and get along. And I think that's key too, is all your guys have to be happy.
How many guys do you have working with you right now?
We full-time employees, we have 28, I think, on the payroll last week.
And you do everything from complete neighborhoods.
We do complete neighborhoods. We do everything in-house except maybe trucking. I know there's a few other things we probably don't do that I'm not thinking about, but trucking is the big thing. Trucking is a huge thing, and we're not in the trucking business, so we don't want to be in the trucking business. So we sub that out. But that's a huge number. Trucking is a huge number.
And what are you trucking? The equipment or the dirt?
We haul off dirt that we don't need. We haul in dirt we do need. All of the water and sewer lines and storm drain lines are embedded in rock and sand. And so there's trucks going in and out every day on this project.
I used to love doing the utilities on apartment projects, pouring the big concrete kickers and rotting off all your 90s and stuff like this. This is something that I got to do back when I first got into plumbing. So it was something that, okay, this is neat. Mm-hmm. This isn't just 3/4 inch copper. This is a big old water line.
There's not a lot of plumbers that like to mess with anything bigger than 3/4.
Oh yeah. And that blows my mind.
We're putting in 10 and 12 inch stuff, and not a lot of plumbers like to dig anymore either,
Well, that's what we call y'all. Y'all got equipment for it.
Yeah.
Y'all probably don't dig a lot.
They don't like to dig either.
Yeah. So, nobody does.
Nobody wants a shovel.
The excavation companies don't even dig that. They come in with jackhammers that have a spade bit on them.
Oh yeah, and the cab, is air conditioned.
Yeah,
and so a lot different from when I was growing up, where there was no cab, when there was no enclosed cab, there was no redesigned shock absorber system, there was no air conditioning, and it was pretty hardcore back in my day. It'll shake your heart out. Today it's like driving a Cadillac. Some of those excavators and loaders, it's like being in a Cadillac. They got the radio, they got the tunes going, and got the AC on 5. Yeah,
you can get cold in there.
You can get cold. Yeah,
a little bit different.
So a little different.
I grew up working for a farmer. I learned all about hauling hay. God, when I was 12 years old, and started hauling hay with the farmer down the street. And we'd haul hay at night. So at about 7 or 8 o'clock is when we'd start. We'd normally go till midnight, 1 in the morning. Then we'd get up in the morning and go cut, rake, and bale. So I grew up on a tractor. And, I was raking. But Jim would cut it. I'd come behind him and rake it. And then Mark would come behind and bale it. And we ran trucks.
That's hard work.
Yeah, we ran trucks most of the day. We'd normally stay out in the field. We'd try and get out there at 6 or 7 or 8 in the morning. Normally, we'd stay out in the field till about 4. We'd take a break. We'd go home and eat, take a nap, anything that we could do, because we knew 4 or 5 hours now, we got to go back out there and haul that hay. So cut, rake, and bale during the day, come back and haul it at night. And either ground stack it or haul it to a barn or something like that.
That is a lot of work. And I guess you could get 2 or 3 cuttings now, if you have a lot of hay.
They got so much steroids and all these forms. Yeah.
I think that used to be like a once a season thing.
Yeah,
Now,
when I started, it was once a year, maybe twice.
Yeah, now it's 3 times.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
The stalks get taller. I remember watching a show called Wheat Bellies. And this doctor has this girl come out, and she's got a little picture about this big and says, in 1950, this is what the wheat plant looked like. and it was 18 inches tall, and you could harvest it once a year. And this is the flour that it made, yada, yada, yada. And this guy comes out and he's holding a thing bigger than him. It's about 6 feet tall. He says, "This is the wheat plant today. It's been genetically modified, and we can cut it 3 times the season." And it's like, wow.
And you're eating that.
I know. Yeah,
We're eating that. I mean,
And
credit
we're
cards,
eating all
all
these
these drugs,
drugs.
that big
Yeah,
ass piece of hay that's been,
yeah.
steroids. And
It's a crazy
I'm
world.
going to pass on that one. I'm gluten free.
Yeah, I try to eat gluten free myself. I'll mess up every now and then. I'll be like, okay, I want this burger no matter what.
Yeah.
Up in Bonham, they've got a place I love, so it's pretty good. So neighborhoods, roads, bridges, which you're not doing bridges anymore.
Shopping centers, schools, tons of fast food restaurants going up. We'll do the infrastructure for fast foods, dirt, concrete, utilities. Got a Jack in the Box going on right now. Whatever needs to be built, no matter how big, no matter how small, doesn't matter. All adds up.
So, and it's crazy. Is any of that fun? And I don't mean it in a bad way. I love flying. It's not always fun, but I still love it.
It's not always fun, especially when you got to go down Forest Lane to upgrade 100 feet of water. No, that's not fun.
Yeah.
But most of it is still fun. A lot of red tape with these cities today. It's nothing like it was. And everything's so expensive. When I first got into laying pipe, a stick of 8-inch PVC was 70 cents a foot. You know how much it is now?
Probably $7 a foot.
$21 a foot.
Yeah. I don't buy much that big.
And everything, the rock that we embedded in, $60 a ton. The trucking, $300 an hour. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Ponds are fun, though.
Ponds are real fun.
Isn't that crazy that they just dig in a hole?
Dig in a hole and
Could be that
fill
much
it up
fun.
and jump in.
Yeah.
You put fish in your swimming pond?
Yeah, I don't know yet. Look, I'm learning about this. I'm learning about this whole thing. I don't mind swimming with fish.
Yeah.
My sister lives up on the Red River. I get out in there all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
I got to figure that out. Do I want fish in my pond?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want snakes.
No snakes.
But
You might have one or two sneak in every now and again, but
as long as they're not in it when I'm in it, because I will get out.
yeah.
I will.
They really don't want to be around you either.
I know. So we're shot the radar, or the LiDAR. Get to look at drawings here in the next few days, I think.
I think they'll be ready early next week.
Cool. Then we make decisions as to where to go next, what to do. So if we're digging a pond and we're building one event center now, we know we're going to build more later. Do we go ahead and build those pads up now, or do we look at it and start thinking about it, or we just say, hey, we're going to put a big dirt pile back here in the corner and we've got it to play with or do whatever? Or am I just trying to look way far ahead?
Well, I guess it's a function of how much do you want to spend.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this, what you got on your plate now, and think about it?
Yeah.
Look at how it's all going to fit. It may change. You may decide to go a different direction, and it's exciting what you got going on here, and we can't wait till it's ready.
This is going to be neat, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while now.
What are you going to do with your event center?
Training. I'm going to be able to invite plumbers, tradespeople out here every month for a big networking event.
Continuing education, maybe? Can you do
no,
that?
I could, but I don't want to be a continuing education provider. My thought is, with what I'm doing on social media, I want to be able to invite trades company owners out here that want to learn social media, that want to learn YouTube, that want to learn which YouTube's an easy part. It's building out. It's just being consistent. But we're putting together a training for a social media launch, which means you get your YouTube, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok. You get all the domains.
That's more important today than your excavator.
It is. It's what makes the phone ring. It's what makes the money come in. And that's why the event center to me is the first thing. Because my thought is I can make enough money on the event center to pay for the other buildings and do it that way. I don't have to have it all at once. I'm not like, look, I need everything right now.
Yeah.
It's like if I start with this and run this event center right, then we can do another and another and another.
Yeah. Keep pulling dollars out of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just keep putting them in there and wait until we get enough to do what we want to do next. But I think it revolves around the pond, or starts with the pond, because that gives you the foundation, the base of, hey, look, this is something we can build upon. And yeah, talking to y'all has been really fun, because new ideas all the time. It's like, well, do you want to do this or do you want to do this? It's like, and I don't know.
That's like building a house almost.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Do you want 1 bedroom or 10? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do I really need?
Blue, green.
Yeah. What's after ponds? How do you grow from there? I mean, ponds are fun.
Like I said, we don't ever want to not do ponds, and but I think we want to do more electrical work, electrical substations, because we're probably at least 30 years behind. Our electrical infrastructure is every bit of 30 years behind.
I think water's the same way.
Water's the same way.
I think that we have enough distribution big enough.
The projects you do right now in the city of Dallas, the projects that they're awarding were projects that were designed 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And they look, this Dallas Water Utilities looks 20 years ahead on everything they do. They're 20 years ahead, and they're planning right now.
And they need to be. 20 years ain't far enough.
No,
not very far away.
No. In fact, this last year, Rockwall sells water to all the little outlying towns. Well, Rockwall doesn't even have enough water now for Rockwall. So I don't know if you remember McClendon Chisholm last year, they were getting their water turned off a lot, during the summer, because Rockwall couldn't give them any more water. 4:00 in the afternoon, you may not be able to get any water. You may not be able to flush the toilet in McClendon Chisholm, because Rockwall only has so much water to give. So it's an important thing, looking ahead.
But they need to quit selling it to everybody.
They need to quit selling it to everyone. Yeah. And they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to do that.
They're going to say, what we need.
They're going to say, McClendon Chisholm, you need to go dig 100 wells or whatever, whatever the math is.
Because I'm starting to look at geothermal, getting into it. And
what possessed you to do that?
Running into the right person at the right time. Ran into a person that's doing geothermal. Theirs is very unique. There's something different about it that not everybody else has. But when you talk to him and he says, our geothermal system can lower your utilities 75%. Wow. It's like, okay, you just got my attention. We're in Texas.
Yeah.
It gets cold in the wintertime. We turn our heat up. It gets hot in the summertime. We turn our AC down.
Yeah.
And he says, look, we can get it all out of the earth.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You're a lead guy too, so that kind of fits in your mindset.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you're talking about wells and stuff like that. What got me started on being a lead AP is I was literally at a plumber's continuing education one day, and I showed up early. It's normal. And I get in there, and the director, the guy who's teaching it, is talking to somebody down front, and I'm kind of like back in the middle of the room. And he's talking to this person. He said, our children and grandchildren will not have access to water the way we do. I believe. And this is probably 20 years ago. And I'm listening to him, and I thought, wow. So I paid a little bit more attention. He says, right now, he says, pretty much any of us can just go turn on the faucet, and we've got good, clean water all the time. He said, but in the future, our water is going to be limited. We're going to have places that don't have enough water. There's just not enough water pressure because the towns are growing so big and they can't bump up the pressure enough to get distribution all the way out. And there's too many people pulling off of it at the same time. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, I don't want my granddaughters not to have access to water or my grandkids. And
Vegas doesn't have any water. I think every glass of water that's in Vegas is trucked in.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's no water there. So I know what you mean.
So when I heard him say this, I thought, I want to do something about this. And I started doing research. And as plumbers walk into more homes every day than anybody else. And it'd be really easy to teach the plumbers to say, hey, look, let me teach you about water conservation, a high efficiency toilet, a low flow shower head, just things like that. If every plumber did that for a year, we could change it in the United States. So I started looking at that, joined Green Plumbers USA, became a lead AP, and I literally just learned all I could about water conservation. And it's such a big deal.
Well, I want to be the first to thank you for your service to humanity.
I'm not doing enough with it. I mean,
no, but
I'm doing pretty good.
If everybody did, like you say, it's unimaginable how much water you use just flushing the toilet.
The funny thing is, and everybody goes straight to a toilet, which I love. So you've got 4 people in a house, and they each flush the toilet 3 times a day. Well, you can get toilets to save maybe a gallon or something like that. You can get them down to 0.8 gallons per minute, or 1.28 liters, stuff like that, or 1.28 gallons. Knowing that, and you could save a gallon per person per day, or per flush, between 4 people, that's 12 gallons of water you could save per day. But you look at a shower head that goes 2.5 gallons per minute, all the way down to, you can get them to half a gallon. But say you just went down to 1.5 gallons a minute. The average person takes a 10-minute shower. So every person every day is 10 gallons. So now that's 40 gallons a day. Shower heads are the least expensive thing you can buy to conserve water, and they work. But everybody, the manufacturers, don't make a lot of money selling you a shower head.
Yeah.
They make money selling you a toilet. So shower heads are the biggest thing that if people would go buy a low flow shower head and get used to it, they could save a ton of water.
That's amazing.
So ponds are the fun thing. What's the hardest thing that you do each and every day?
Well, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but a lot of engineers that we deal with, a lot of inspectors that we deal with are programmed to see how bad they can mess your day up. They try to cost you money. Dealing with the day-to-day people telling us how to do things is probably the hardest thing that we do. Not all of the time, but most of the time.
And then again, you can flip that around. There's some that are great to work with.
Some are great. As I said, brains are awesome. There's a lot of awesome engineers. To have a good project, you need a good location. You need a good owner. And
it takes a team.
It takes a team. Yeah. You need a good owner, good inspectors, and a good team.
If you had a kid that's like, man, look, I want to grow up and work on these big dozers or play with them, not work on them, work on them. I want to use big equipment. I want to dig ponds. I want to dig roads and plan for buildings and all that. How would somebody go about getting into that side of the trades?
Well, be on time. First thing, be on time, be respectful, and go to work for a good contractor that's willing to teach you. A lot of contractors are willing to teach people because kids really aren't coming into our profession like they used to.
Find a company that's just doing what you want to do.
Find a company that wants to help you grow with them.
What's the funnest thing to learn how to do?
Probably run an excavator.
Yeah.
As opposed to a jackhammer.
You got jackhammers to wear you out.
Or a shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah, get on the excavator. Go for the excavator every time. You'll have a much better day.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
I don't know why there isn't an excavator school. A school that teaches you how to run heavy equipment. They should be offering that in school. I know it's expensive, but there's at least a trade school should offer that, but there's not one. There's not one that teaches you how to do what we do. Obviously, you have the apprenticeship program. Plumbers will teach you how to be a plumber, but nobody's going to teach you how to run that excavator. No one, unless you can talk someone into it or someone that'll let you get on it and run it. But, excavators are $350,000. Nobody's just going to let you out there on a $400,000
go play with my toy.
Yeah, go play with that.
Yeah.
And some people just walk in the door and they're natural operators. They just pick it up really fast and I guess opportunity.
I was at Skills USA in Atlanta last week, and they had simulators that, literally you had like 3 video screens around you, and man, you're moving around and your seat turns, and It was pretty cool. And you've got foot pedals, you've got hand controls. So you're doing all kinds of stuff.
Well, maybe people are starting to think about that.
Yeah, they need to. Definitely. Do y'all hire green people? People that come in and they're like, look, I don't know anything about anything. Or is that hard too?
It's really hard to do that. But if you walk in the door and you act like you want to learn, or you act like you know it, and you're a fast learner, then you're going to fit in. When I moved to Colorado, I didn't know anything about what we did. I mean, I knew a little bit about everything, but I just kind of wormed my way in there, and they never knew I didn't know what I was doing.
They used to say, fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
And that's still a philosophy a lot of people go by. And there's times that it can get you in.
But you got to be willing to work at it. You have to get in there. You have to work harder than somebody that already knows how to do it. So, or the gig is up.
Yeah. I remember learning how to use a backhoe, just getting on it. It'd be like, okay, I'd come in early because I knew where the key was. It's like, okay, man, I just want to learn how to spin it. I want to learn how to make it move. I want to learn how to shake the bucket to empty it.
Yeah. And now you can watch, there's a million videos on YouTube. You can do anything you want with YouTube today.
I've heard that YouTube's a pretty big deal.
It's a big deal.
I may have to check it out.
You need to check that out.
I should.
Yeah. I don't know if it's not better than some $500,000 colleges.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah. We know kids that, blew through $500,000 and they're working at Cinemark. Yeah, nothing wrong with working at Cinemark.
You bet. Everybody loves to go to the movies.
Everybody loves to go to the movies. You bet. We need people working at Cinemark, but you don't have to spend $500,000 to get a job there.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Matter of fact, you really don't have to spend anything.
You can
get to
show up,
go to work hard,
show up and smell good.
Yeah,
smell good. Like the plumbing contractor that used to put that on his vans. I can't remember.
Smell good plumber.
My plumbers smell good.
You bet.
Well, you have to have things like that in your tool chest because there's so many people out there. You have to do something to stand out. You got to smell good.
You've got to be different.
You got to be different.
A buddy of mine is a branding expert, David Breyer, and he calls it rise above the noise. You've got to be different than everybody else. Do things better than everybody else. And this course has got 23 different differentiators, everything from colors to font to the way you smell, a million different things, 23 different ones. And you can use them pre-sale, during sale, and post-sale. So really, you got 69 different differentiators. And he says, to be honest, most companies are only using 4 or 5.
Wow.
And they only use them in one spot, like pre-sale, during sale, or post-sale. So they're not doing much to be different. They're not standing above everybody else. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you got to climb out of the cave.
Man, get outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the worst day you ever had at work.
We had just built a big retaining wall in a subdivision that very difficult people that we were working for, and we were way behind schedule, and they were trying to open up that weekend, or we were way behind. We completely messed up their schedule in their mind, and it was in Irving, and we're standing there, and you remember when we were having all the little earthquakes in Irving? Well, everyone's standing there looking at this beautiful wall, and the ground shakes like that, and it just crumbles, Duffy.
Yeah, Texas really isn't designed for earthquakes.
No.
We don't build things for earthquakes.
And honestly, it didn't take much to do that. It was like it wasn't some big earth-shaking earthquake. It was just
wow.
Lasted for about 30 seconds, and then it just destroyed that wall.
Mm.
So that wasn't a great day.
No, that can be a rough day.
No.
Tell me about the best day you've ever had at work.
Best day I've ever had. Well, they're all good.
It's a good thing.
They're all good. I don't think we have enough time, but I guess when you finish a job and everyone's happy and you got a little money in your pocket, it's a good day. Good day. Nobody gets hurt.
And a good thing is to remember those days during the bad days.
Right.
Because it's not every day's good or every day's bad. It's normally a little of each.
Yeah.
And it may be doing that just in the morning.
Uh-huh.
You know, it can be good and bad all day long.
Right.
The thing is to remember when it's bad, look, it's not always this bad.
Right.
But when it's good, you got to remember it's not always this good either.
Yeah. And your bad's never as bad as someone else's bad.
Yeah.
So somebody's always having a worse day than you are. That should make you smile.
And a good way to look at it too is, look, other people have been through this and they survived. So I'm going to survive too.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. All right, Mike. So again, tell everybody, where could they get in touch with you if they wanted a pond or something like that?
Well, you can look us up on Facebook at pondmasters.com or on the internet, pondmasters.com.
Cool. Let's go back to the day after you get out of school. You're getting up the next morning to go to work full time. If you can go back now and talk to little Mikey the day he walks out that door, what would you tell him based on everything you know now?
Save your money. Something. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be the same amount every day, but put something back. Can't tell you how many times that you just spend it all and it's all gone on Thursday because you're getting more on Friday.
You bet.
Well, no. Save something in the week with a little bit left. It doesn't have to be much, but just something. Save your money.
Read the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. God, and I didn't read it till I was probably 50. And I was like, why didn't they tell us this when we were kids? You know, and it teaches you out of every dollar you make, this is how you allot it. This is where you put it. And it's a hard book to read. It was written in the 30s. But man, it makes so much sense. And I'm like, why didn't my parents do? If I made $5, I was trying to figure out how to spend $6.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. Very good.
Yeah.
Mike, this has been a pleasure. Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
All righty, sir.
Thank you.